What's up, guys? George Balekji here with Boston Center, the chat. But hey, check out the latest episode of Foxborough Rush. Taylor Kyle stops by the show to talk about the signing of Stefon Diggs, what that means for the draft possibilities of Travis Hunter, and we got plenty of O-line talk as well. That is Foxborough Rush, wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Prime. Now, let's get to the chat. Bring it in. Special Boston has entered the chat. The MLB season's finally here. Red Sox start out with a 5-2 win over the Texas Rangers. Wilyer Abreu, a monster game. Garrett Crochet makes his debut. We got an exciting chat for you guys today. George Balekji here with Kasey Hudson. Case, your first opening day in Boston. It's not in Boston. It was in Arlington. But
True.
First opening day in Boston.
Yeah, the hype is real, to say the very least. So even though it wasn't here, it's not home yet. I mean, just all the activity, all the excitement revolving around opening day, everyone kind of committing to their ballpark traditions, even though the team's not here. Like, I was getting messages about people saying that I have to have a certain ritual for today. I have to eat certain foods today. I know, it's intense, but
so
it
there's
was
people randomly texting you saying you have to eat something today?
Yeah. Like
particular?
All
right, that's crazy.
I think
that's crazy.
I did myself in, though, because I mentioned the other day, like, I'm not a big hot dog fan, but like,
yeah,
so
I get it. Okay.
I guess I should have preferenced it by saying that. But either way, it's legit. Opening day has just been like such a time, and it made it even better because I finally had some gear to go along with it. You know it.
Yeah, nice Sox jersey.
Warring out. Thank you.
I like it.
I won't throw any of our coworkers under the bus with the battle.
Many sharp-looking Red Sox jerseys worn to work
in the building today,
with good numbers worn. One person got theirs before you, though.
Sure.
Okay, there we go. That's it. No, and let's move on. We'll talk Sox. So Red Sox win 5-2 against the Texas Rangers. Wilyer Abreu, as we mentioned, monster day, 3 for 3 at the plate. 2 home runs, including the game-winning home run, a bomb there in the ninth, and also was just perfect at the plate. Let's start with Garrett Crochet first, though. 5 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 4 hits, 4 Ks, 2 walked batters. And it simply was, you can see the Red Sox managing a pitch count for him. He goes 5 innings, 88 pitches was his total, 61 of those were strikes. Velocity sitting around 96. Talk about the 2 runs scored on him. One of those was a pitch he said, if there's one I can have back, that would be it. It would be the Higashioka long fly ball to center, misread by Ceddanne Rafaela. But what you see, he goes out there, starts out hot, retiring runners, at one point got himself in trouble, walking batters, allowing a long fly ball, but kept the composure, and through 5 innings, just 2 earned runs. First start of his Red Sox tenure. It's what you want to see. It's 1 of 162. Yep. It's what you want to see from Garrett Crochet so far.
Yeah, I think that, as you mentioned, it's what you want to see. He delivered in the aspect of what everybody was anticipating. And then the best part about it is, like, hearing him break down his own play after the game. Like, the things that he's already curtailing in his mind that he wants to fix. Too many walks for him today already on his mind, so that's going to be the first thing that he tries to bring correction to the next time he's on the mound, which gets you excited, because to come off with 4 strikeouts and to have the start that you did for the Red Sox and then to pick up a team as a win, like, to know that it can only get better from here, and depending on how the rotation goes and how many more innings they allow him to go through, then that's an exciting thing to look forward to.
Yeah, I think it was important too, if you think of first run scored, tough fly ball, into the right field corner. But Abreu played it brilliantly off the wall. Like, that should have been runners scoring from first with ease. They held up at second. But that set up towards, in a way of like a waterfall. The Gashioka long fly ball, I mean, that was Crochet just missing on location. Ended up high and away. Like you said, he wanted that pitch back. And that was Ceddanne Rafaela mistracking the ball. The second was off the bat. He can get there. He can make that play, just didn't. And if that's what you walk away with the 2 earned runs, and again, of him to get to 88 pitches, looked comfortable, was able to settle down after walking batters, deal with the defense, guys returning to their spots, like a Ceddanne Rafaela, like a Wilyer Abreu, but even Kristian Campbell, like, making some misplays out there. There was that one tough hit ball towards him with a shattered bat at second, but it still is him working around all this. You take this for the Garrett Crochet debut, and the reason is you bring him in, not for that opening day start to start the season. Like, anyone can start opening day. It's who's the guy that's going to be the ace over the course of the season. Who's the guy you can count on when it matters most. And he said it too. He's like, he put too much pressure on himself. He put excess pressure, as he said it, of not walking batters because he was so good about that last season. Once he gets settled in, obviously there's the excitement of playing for the Red Sox, playing for a good organization, a good team that's going to win a lot of ball games. Once all that is put behind him and he settles down, that's when we'll see the Garrett Crochet take his form on the mound. But this is the start you would take, especially with, and it seems like if they are going to be on a pitch count for him,
right,
get to 5 innings, limited damage, be able to have composure and just reestablish yourself after walking some batters which he wasn't happy about, you would take this for the start from the ace.
100%. And then something else that comes into play for like this being his start, his opening. What did we talk about the other day? I mean, I know it was on my list, maybe not your list, but the Rangers are a team that I say look out for. So to open up the season, exactly, to open up the season versus a strong lineup like the Rangers, Jake Rugger, there was a guy whose name I had circled in terms of like what he'll do damage-wise this season. So the storm that he was able to weather in terms of like the depth that they have over there, the pieces that they were able to plug in on the Texas Rangers side, like I think that even speaks more highly to what he's going to be able to do. The composure that you keep mentioning, because how the rest of the season is going to open up once they get past the Rangers, like he's going to have a chance to really continue to just build and grow off of that. And then the pitch count changes as well, particularly, or how many innings he's in for.
Allow him to work. Exactly.
So I think opening up against a team like this is even more exciting.
Yeah, and again, if he just gets back to his old self, limits of walks, it means he'll go deeper into games. Yeah. Less pitches, more outs, and we'll start seeing him go 6, maybe 7 innings and beyond. Let's talk about Wilyer Abreu then. We're talking about Garrett Crochet. We got to talk about Wilyer Abreu before we dive into the game. 3 for 3, 4 RBI, 2 home runs. The second home run, that 3-run bomb in the 9th. That was a go-ahead game-winning home run. Also drew a walk, and that was on a 9-pitch at-bat as well. I mean, this is a guy that's just on fire. Middle inside was on the first home run when he hit the pitch, 415 feet with a 108 exit velo. The second home run was just a rocket, 110 exit velocity, 397 feet dead center in Texas. It was exciting to see him twice step up with the big bat. With all the attention to the outfield, everything we're seeing is Jarren Duran, Ceddanne Rafaela, hearing a lot about Roman Anthony, hearing a lot about Marcelo Meyer, of course a lot about Kristian Campbell. Wilyer Abreu is that guy that, with all this talk of a Roman Anthony, that's the person that gets a fire lit under their butt. And it's because he knows Ceddanne Rafaela has a contract. Jarren Duran is that 5-tool type player and had an outstanding year last season. If he doesn't step up his game when Roman Anthony's ready to be brought up, he could be the guy that gets moved. And he could be moved off the starting right field spot. It could be moved in different terms. So for him to jump out like this, and it's 1 of 162, but if that is what gets him to be so motivated this entire season, then it's great because he's a good defensive right fielder. And if he can continue to have that 75, 80th percentile type bat for right fielders in Major League Baseball, much above average, would be so productive, the Red Sox will take that because that's what separates him and a guy like a Ceddanne Rafaela is the production of the bat in the box. And we see it, very small sample size, but what he did today, that all this talk about these prospects could be the best thing for Wilyer Abreu because it's what wakes him up. Yeah,
I like that you mentioned the fact that there can be a fire awoken in him. We can add to the fact that he's now a dad of twins. I mean, that dad power is for real. We
Double
saw
dad
it
strength,
exactly.
Maybe.
We saw it for Charlie McAvoy after Reese was born. So like it's a thing in the sport. But on top of it, yeah, the talk of the prospects for this team has probably been nearly as loud as like some of the other guys that they have brought in and spent money on. And it's going to make you think twice. And if this team is also being talked about in the granular scheme of like they can contest for a World Series soon, you don't want your job taken from you.
Yeah.
So this is the perfect start to make that argument. Also more so something that he could build off of. I'm excited to see what he does throughout the rest of the series because like looking at his numbers last year, 21 appearances at bat, 4 home runs versus the Rangers, but I mean only a handful of hits and
11
runs
after that against all other teams last year.
So this is where he can also make a statement again against a really good team. And then I like the fact that he also paint the picture. He came in clutch twice in big moments to help secure this W for the Red Sox, but also what he can do on the defensive side. And that was question marks in the offseason and things that I heard fans really having, being more weary about. So to have that double edge and versatility to his game, it's going to make a louder statement while you allow the greatest prospects in the game to continue to develop without any rush either.
That's a guy that was playing at like a Gold Glove standard out and right, and especially knowing how to play the right field at Fenway. That is a very unique skill set to have, to understand the space out there. The ball gets bouncing around in that corner, it can be a mess. I even think of going back to his defensive play again. Tough fly ball that Garrett Crochet led up. One hopped it off the wall, perfect read by Abreu, and just corralled that ball in right away and held the runner at second. It's plays like that too, where the bat shows up, but defensively, he very well could have kept this game entirely in check. Because if someone misplays that, even by the margin, that's a runner from first, maybe getting third, maybe getting to home because of how tough that ball could be to corral in. And just for him to be so locked in at the plate, look at the timing as well, like right on top of the ball, being so perfect with the timing of it too. Not too early, not too late, just getting on top of it and just barreling the heck out of the ball on both home runs and driving those. One of those off of Nate Eovaldi, who is absolutely nails as well in this game. Like, that shows the quality that he is and how locked in he is going into this. So we talk Crochet, we talk a little Wilyer Abreu. Interesting approach as we saw too. Crochet goes out after he's pulled after 5 innings, 88 pitches. Garrett Whitlock is the first relief pitcher up. Puts away 6 of his first 7 batters. We see him for 2 innings, 1 hit allowed, 0 earned runs. Aroldis Chapman gets the win in this one. It was tied when he came in 2-2. 1 inning, strikes out Corey Seager. Shattered bat. That was a tough out for Campbell I was talking about. Fly out to Ceddanne Rafaela. Then it ends with a 6-4 story to Kristian Campbell. And then Justin Slayton gets the save on this one. Again, a big storyline of what these Red Sox can be is how does the bullpen break down?
True.
And maybe that's a glimpse into it of Whitlock would be a long-term setup guy. Aroldis Chapman in a different setting would be getting the save here. But that's someone where Alex Cora wanted to see Chapman come in, get us through an inning, especially seeing Corey Seager in that part of the lineup, get him through the meat. And then, hey, Justin Slayton, here's a test. How can you do it with the pressure on? Can you close out this game and hold on to it?
Yeah, that's a good question in terms of like we're looking to see what the bullpen and the rotation, everything is going to look like. I want to ask this question though really quick because we got the news that Hendricks was going to be on 15-day IL, moments before, a couple hours before the game and stuff. If he was healthy and able to be involved in all of this, do you think it would have been him that got the tap over Chapman? Because I always saw their name kind of going hand in hand.
It would have probably went Whitlock, Hendricks, Chapman, I would guess.
Okay.
I think in that order. Or maybe it could have gone same thing with the length of it. Go Whitlock. Maybe it would be a Hendricks instead. You save a Chapman for a type of safe scenario instead of in a tied ball game. So maybe it would have went Whitlock, Hendricks, Chapman. Either way, the splits are the same. It was an inning each. But that is a good question to ask. I just think with the contract you bring in Chapman on, how experienced he is, velocity still being there, and how good he was as well in this game, I think that's how it can end up being because it's Corey Seager struck him out swinging, gets a ground out to right. And then that was Aroldis Garcia that flew out to center.
Yes.
Like that's again, you're seeing Seager and Garcia, who should have a bounce back here, had a down year last year, him and Marcus Semien. But after letting up that single to Langford, it's Seager strikeout, Garcia fly out, and then a 6-4 play story to Campbell. That's the meat of the lineup, so I think that would be the Chapman spot no matter what, and I think that's how Alex Cora read it.
Gotcha. And then on top of that, being
could have been
able
Hendricks
to perform
after.
that, yeah, that's true. So he came in and did exactly what was expected of him.
Yeah,
more so.
Kristian Campbell, first career hit for him, first major.
I feel like all of us were sitting there
hit.
like holding our breath and saying he's got to get the hit. He's got to get the hit. He's got to get it off his back.
Anticipation. See his family in the stands. We know how big of a story he is too.
Oh yeah, but I love that he mentioned like the first half he was.
Took him a while to settle down.
Getting settled in still. He didn't really feel that until the second half of the game, but more why he wasn't feeling so settled in at first, it was like, emotions. He just kept referring to emotions. So that was pretty nice to see that he was able to kind of be vulnerable about that, but also like he was glad to get that monkey off his back to get that hit. I mean, what a hit on top of it.
Yeah.
So
just rip it down the third baseline. Still and again, this was a kid that started out, I think 0-11 in spring training. So it's like getting the timing down. Now it's major league pitching. It's not major league spring training pitching he's facing. It's major league pitching. And when he said that after, he got emotional, was tearing up during the anthem, thinking about his family, his journey. He said, I didn't settle down until the second half of the game. He steps up. It's in a big spot because that hit advances Trevor Story to third, gets him on base, obviously at first. He eventually gets pulled David Hamilton to be the pinch runner in that one. And then right after that, that's a Wilyer Abreu 3-run bomb.
Yep.
So it's a spot that he's in. Casas goes down looking, but it was good framing for that on the final K. He thought he got walked. I thought it should have been a walk as well. Story walks, steals second. Campbell advances him to third. Just how crucial that was. Just put a ball in play.
Yep.
Make it tough on the defense is what he did, and that led to the Wilyer Abreu home run. That's the thing. It's the timing of it. It's not just getting that first hit, but obviously how major that was as well.
Yeah, and I'm sure that makes him feel that much more impactful after going through a roller coaster of emotions because the expectation on him is pretty high. And let's just kind of devil advocate here. If we track back 6 weeks ago, we weren't talking about Campbell really making the opening day lineup per se.
It was floated around, but it wasn't a 100% sure thing.
Exactly. And then even they were saying how, it's kind of taking a minute to see the consistency and where the fit in would come and what pieces they would move around in order to make sure that he lands on the opening day roster. So I love that you make the case to say perfect timing on this, because this is also something that everyone can carry into the next performance confidence-wise, because now they're trusting a young guy to be able to show up and have that timing, because that would have been a different game if not for that hit at that time and them able to go up.
Also, like, I mean, for him to make his MLB debut, first pitcher that he sees steps in the box is Nate Eovaldi, who was absolute nails in this one. 6 innings pitched, 9 Ks, 3 hits, no walks, 2 earned runs. But even the first at-bat for him, Eovaldi goes 3 straight four-seam fastballs, then just buckles his knees, drops the miles per hour, going with the curveball right there, and goes down. That's what's hard. Draws a walk in his third at-bat. So it's just like the ups and downs and just being patient at the plate, because he could have kept going out there swinging, like hunting for that hit. Instead, kind of let the pitch come to him, waited for that perfect timing in that moment. But it's like, man, welcome to the bigs. You got to face nasty Nate, who's always nails in the big spot. And obviously Nate Eovaldi pitching with some extra motivation, facing the Red Sox as well, facing their ace in Garrett Crochet. He was awesome in this game. So that's where it's the tough start. The challenging start, I want to say more of. The challenge of emotions, Nate Eovaldi, and then by the time it gets to the 9th, he's settled down. And again, it's just in a big spot. You put him in that part of the lineup, that's what helps. So if a guy like Trevor Story maybe take some pressure off. All right, Trevor got on. I'm good. Now I'm going to come up. I got Wilyer Abreu behind me. Just get on base and he can bring me home. That's what's so crucial with you bringing these rookies, especially a young guy like him, 22 years old, that you bring him in where the pressure is going to be a lot, but you surround him with Trevor Story, who's a vet, Wilyer Abreu, who's been in the bigs and is an established major league hitter and outfielder. You put those around the rookie, it helps him out with his confidence in the box.
Yeah, I think we saw the elevation of that, and then also just his breakdown of how that play even came about. Like how he was able to talk himself through it, settle it down, get under the ball. He said particularly hit through the ball. He recognized that he kept throwing slider after slider and then made those adjustments to make sure that he can have that big play and opportunity and that perfect positioning and timing of things. So again, you're processing so much. It's your first MLB game. Your family's in the stands. Like considering all of that, like I don't even know if I'd have the composure to walk myself so meticulously through every step to make sure that play would happen. That's obviously why he got the tap for the pros.
And this is also a game where Devers, Bregman, Casas, 2, 3, 4 hitters in the lineup all went 0-4. And Bregman, of course, had that one great rip that was in the 8th. Durant gets on, steals second, eventually gets a third. And Bregman just goes oppo, but lines out right to right field. But it's such a well-hit ball that it's like those guys haven't even chimed in yet. And I think that's what's important with the depth of the Red Sox is when your 2 through 4 hitter goes over, that a guy like Abreu hitting in that 8th spot pulls through like this. And that's what makes this Red Sox team so dangerous is the depth of the lineup, the ace in a Garrett Crochet. And again, it's a one-game sample size, but you see how this bullpen has its depth as well and has its perfect placement. Whitlock go out for 2 innings, Chapman get another frame, and then you could close it out with a guy like a Justin Slayton. And to the point you make, too, of when he returns, it could be a Liam Hendricks.
Yeah, and that's going to be interesting to see how they move that around. Now, I guess the bigger question in sense of like game 1, like you keep saying, sample size, which is so true. Off season, there seem to still be some question marks. Do you feel like a lot of questions have been answered, at least with this game? Like, can we take a deep breath at this moment and say, hey, some of the hype that we were living up to played out?
It's just when it's one, I can't give the genuine answer when it's 1 of 162, you know?
That's how you know you work in the industry.
It's just like, exactly, right? It's like the tempering expectations. And I have high expectations for this team, but it's just like to temper that where... Cool. It's like I saw Whitlock go out and pitch, but we've seen that for 140 plus innings. Can he get to 180? That's a question. Can he get to 190? Like that's what an ace can be.
Okay.
Can Bregman work? Can Casas have a good bat? And he's always gets off to slow starts, and we know Bregman will work. Can Devers as a DH again making his debut? He did everything one way since he made his major league debut.
Right.
Third and hitting. Today he solely hit and he went 0 for 4. It's the patience you got to have because I said that when Devers was announced by Cora, he will be the everyday DH. It's like, all right, cool. Everyone has to be patient because there's going to be ups and downs. And it's going to take a while for Devers to find his confidence in the box of only hitting. It's just so baseball players are so methodical and so routine, and now he changed up everything. So, yeah, there's parts. Like, cool to see Wilyer playing good defense, hitting well. He lost weight as well, looks really good. And if that adds to his game, that's terrific. The other parts that I want to see is the Bregman, the Casases, the Devers, how those guys hit. So,
all right. See?
Good to see Chapman. I'll give you this one. Good to see Chapman in that role. I mean, yes, like there's like just goes up. What does he have? Again, it's 1 of 162, but through one inning, that part of the lineup, seeing Seager and Garcia and putting them away, no problem. That's what you want from a guy like Chapman that you bring in for this role.
There we go. See, at least you bring reality to the table.
I
That's why I asked you. What question? I guess the better question would have been like, what questions do we have now after what we saw in that 5 victory?
And I answered a little bit. What questions do you have remaining for this team?
Let's see. I don't particularly have a specific question, but Story. I feel like he had some moments, some promising moments throughout the game. And then, of course, I'm always like an ears to the ground person. I want to hear what everybody else's reaction and response is. So, like, there's kind of like this whole, like, are we going to see more or that next step out of Story in terms of, like, being able to polish off some of those close moments that he had throughout this game.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, can he be stay healthy? And even think of the walk that he drew in the 9th. He had to foul off 4 straight pitches to eventually get to that one pitch to draw a walk. Same thing with Abreu. And that's what it is of being a major league hitter. Like, that's what I love about Juan Soto and what he does so well. As great as his eye is, as great as his bat is in the power, how good his eyes are as well. Of just like, he just doesn't fight the at-bat ever. Like, he completely controls every moment. If Story can do that in the spot that he is in this lineup of just get on base, and that's when it'll be a Kristian Campbell, a Wilyer Abreu, a Ceddanne Rafaela, and it leads into that. Campbell gets his confidence. He becomes a good hitter. That's what the depth of this lineup can jump out. So it's good to just see that from a Trevor Story. Timing's always a question, too.
Yeah.
How long he's been away from the game, lost all of last season. It's one game, but like the timing is semi there of knowing how to draw the walk, know how to fight off some pitches, and just continue to live in the at-bat and eventually be that pitcher. Hey, the Red Sox are back. They're 1-0. They could be 162-0. You never know. Everyone's watching closely to see if they're playoff bound this season. You have a lot of questions about their future and current state. Well, we got the answers. Players, coaches, executives, all that and more on 310 to Left, Netson's Baseball Podcast and Red Sox Podcast. You can find it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever else you get your podcasts. All right, let's get into what's trending. Philadelphia Flyers making a change for their head coach, John Tortorella, relieved of his duties as head coach. Tort's one of the more polarizing coaches in all of sports. This is a guy that's been around multiple spots. But his latest one, the Flyers, 5th team he's been with, saying, we love everything you've done, but you are gone. From their GM, Daniel Briere, he said today made a very difficult decision to move on from John as our head coach, played a vital role in our rebuild, set the standard of play, reestablished what it means to be a Flyer. Passion on the bench was only equaled by his charitable work in the community. It felt like this was the best for our team to move forward. Thank John for his tireless work, commitment to the Flyers. That might be the hottest coaching name now out there, though.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It is. It's the other question that's always gone hand in hand with Torts is culture. And he has his way. He has his culture. Obviously, as a Tampa Bay gal, I have a lot of respect for Torts and his
Started
style.
with the Lightning, his first head coaching gig in the NHL.
Right. And like what he established and built out in Tampa Bay before moving on. I'm not going to lie. I saw a number, don't be pissed at me, Boston, of Bruins fans basically trying to welcome Torts to Boston.
Why would they get mad about that?
Well, some people,
Polarizing.
Yeah, he's not your everyday hang out with kind of guy, but he goes to bat for his players. And if you fit his system and his culture, you're going to learn a lot. And I actually talked to Jackie Redmond about it, and she's like, anybody who has worked with Torts, whether they liked him or hated him, they learned something significant that plays a role in this career. So another funny thing I saw going around was that he basically fired himself, which I wouldn't be too surprised about.
He's probably like, I'm fed up here. I'm good. This rebuild's continuing. Like, I've done my thing. I'm not wasting my time.
Well, he has a system. And then you bring in certain young guys, and that's where I feel like there was probably a lot of push and pull. And yeah, exactly. So when they're sitting at a 28-36-9 record and Torts has a style that he has to commit to, then I'm not surprised by the move. But you said it. Hot name on the market now. And you know, you play by his rules, he can bring you success.
Yeah. Think about his four coaching jobs before this with Lightning, Rangers, Canucks, and Blue Jackets, now with the Flyers. I mean, the Bruins are in that spot.
Right.
After the trade deadline, they have the second youngest roster in the NHL. Obviously, the culture, I don't want to say it's an issue there, but needs to be revamped in a way. Mm-hmm. That you bring in a guy like that with how young this team will be. They have the established stars, but John Tortorella can do a lot for that locker room.
Yeah, see, I love that you mentioned that. Culture is not particularly the problem. I think age in alignment with his culture style is where there's probably a little bit of friction because, again, the noise got a little bit louder in Philly when the roster started getting a little bit younger. Yeah. So I just wonder if maybe there has to be a different approach for these young guys, but like you've got to trust the process with a guy like Torts.
And if he was to say end up in Boston, yes, it could be young prospects, but there's Casey Middlestad, Charlie McAvoy, Nikita Zadorov, the Lindholms, the Pavel Zakas, Jeremy Swayman. So there are the vets in the league. Yeah. But yes, they'll be bringing prospects along. And a John Tortorella, that could be the perfect marriage of that situation, roster, age, all that, and leadership.
I like it. I think you have the right veteran pillars that can help gel things in the Torts style.
As a Rangers fan, though, I just remember Torts there, and it's like, I don't know. Talking NBA, Commissioner Adam Silver announces that the National Basketball Association now exploring a European League. That report coming from Mark J. Spears. And he said that after a Board of Governors meeting. Another quote, it's early days. Literally nothing has been agreed upon yet. But he added he did want to honor the current FIBA and Euro format with 40-minute games and such. This makes sense. And it also, I think, when you think of the top players in the league right now, Jokic, SGA, Doncic, Giannis, there's Tatum. That's like top 5 players. 3 out of the 5 are from Europe.
Right.
4 out of the 5 are not from the States. For the NBA to have their eyes on Europe, and in a way of a European league, it's the same way if there's a G League here in the States, have a European league where you develop prospects out there, and it just becomes a better pipeline of bringing them to the NBA. Look, NBA, end of the day, it's a business. They care about viewership.
Yeah.
They care about dollar signs, and they care about putting the best product out there possible. And if they get more European style players, and that's the best players they can find prospect wise, bring them over this way, the NBA will be open for it, no doubt.
Oh, and then it just opens up I don't want to say the job market, but it opens up the job market in terms of these players and being able to pull the best of the best, giving that opportunity. But then the hyper focus to how development styles need to go for European players. Yeah. I mean, we've made that case a couple of times that you have guys that they come over here, the expectation is high, takes a minute to get their game going and acclimated within the system they get brought into. But imagine having that development ability over on your home turf, and then you come over more ready, more actually able to carry the weight that's being put on your shoulders. I don't think it's a bad plan.
Yeah, and it's also just the popularity of basketball in Europe, too. Again, from a business standpoint, it makes sense. And just think of the recent MVPs, Jokic, Embiid, Jokic, Giannis, James Harden. It's been 3 winners between Jokic, Embiid, and Giannis. Last 3, all of them are international players. And between Jokic and Giannis, so that is 5 of the last 6 MVP winners. Those guys are from Europe too. So again, it just shows the growth of the game going that way. And Adam Silver, he's commented in the past of we could adopt the FIBA rules. Like the entire world plays it one way, we're playing it the other. So why not adopt those rules, especially when you get on the international stage? And again, I think that's curtailing the game towards being more open and more European stars. We've seen the college model, and certainly many of the stars in the league today went through college, like an SGA playing at Kentucky, of course. But at the same time, is like that's becoming more pro-focused with the NIL. It's changing, and the game is different. Bringing European, I mean, it's just competition. And again, Adam Silver's job, it's obviously to put basketball in the best spot possible, but it's business. The NBA is a business, and running that business is taking advantage of that possibility in Europe, what they could take advantage of.
You think we have less Lakers fans overseas?
No, there'd be so many Kobe fans overseas. Okay. So that's a thing too of like, I mean, a guy that grew up in Italy was born there, and that's just like a world icon. That's the thing too. Like when these stars go there, the NBA is big there as well. So you just think of like the pillar when it comes to superstars throughout the league that plays in Europe
drawing
too.
The fan base. All right,
Case. I don't know if you're gonna like this or not, but the video's resurfacing. I had to see it. You're gonna have to watch it too. With Stefon Diggs now with the Patriots. This video from 2019 has been making its rounds again. Robert Kraft dancing with Cardi B on stage. This is before the Super Bowl where the Patriots beat the Rams 13-3. Much younger Robert Kraft. He got some bounce to him, and he gets out of there.
It was literally
it's just, man, it's RKK. Whenever he could be hip and cool and be that young, cool billionaire, he's going to do it. Cardi B dating Stefon Diggs. That's why this is all making the rounds. I need to add that.
Oh, thank you. Honestly, you almost answered my question because I was like, I don't know if I'm like cringed out by how much bounce there is or if I'm like like if I feel good for how much bounce he's got. Like there's just a lot of bouncing.
It's the same of like Robert Kraft of like Meek Mill texted me saying Lamar Jackson wants to play here. So it's just like
why are you
the forcing
Meek
of being
Mill?
A cool guy. Like you said that I think last off season.
Oh my gosh.
That's why I watch these and I'm just like, no, that's not what I need. That's not what I need. But somehow we've
the backwards bounce and the finger point though, I'll give it to him.
Not bad.
Yeah, like the guy's still being able to hold up right. So that was thank you for sharing that with me because I didn't want to see it, but now I will not unsee that for some time. For
all the times that we see Bon Jovi in the owner's box with Kraft at Patriots games, this is going to be bound to happen. It's going to be.
You think we get a new video this upcoming season?
Oh yeah, they'll play that up too, and he'd love it. And it'll be the guy that created Fabletics. I forget his name. Cardi B and Robert Kraft sitting in that owner's box. It's gonna be so cringe.
Oh my gosh. Well, as long as they wear matching tracksuits, I'll be okay.
Tracksuit's not bad. Like like that red heart on it, whatever brand that may be. You're a billionaire. You got nothing to prove. Stop forcing being cool. That's my thing.
Are you surprised though? Like
No.
I almost called him Belly. Belichick's over here doing beach yoga, and Kraft is going to recreate this video with Cardi B in the next 4 months.
Act your age, guys. The other thing is like if my net worth started with a B, let alone an M, if it started with a B, no one would know my existence.
What's the cringiest thing you think that you would do though?
I'm telling, I would just post pictures of yachts in the Mediterranean. That's what I would do. That'd be the most cringe.
Okay.
Right? But that's understandable. Like,
it is true. Yeah,
that's what you should be doing.
Couldn't be mad about that.
Yeah, I'm not going to force like Lamar Jackson texting Meek Mill. That's the cringiest thing I would do.
Posting receipts.
What would be the cringiest thing you would do if your net worth hit a B?
Oh my gosh. I think I'd be right there with you. It'd just be like a bunch of like boats and travel and stuff. I would be a fake influencer.
Yeah. I would just post if I happen to be an influencer. Cool. I wouldn't even force it.
Exactly.
I would just be.
The fake part would be how unnatural it feels, but like for sure, I would be trying to like piece together my entire travels and stuff.
Don't even know if I would do that. I think the best thing I would do that, I'd be like, I'm getting off social media. I'm just gonna live quietly on a yacht in the Mediterranean.
Find me.
Want to hear all about Boston sports? Check out Nesson's Daily Sports Podcast. Boston has entered the chat. You can enter the conversation by tweeting at us using the hashtag NessonChat or email the chat at Nesson.com as well. But also make sure to stream the entire Sox season with the Nesson 360 annual plan available at an all-new reduced price of just $20 a month, paid annually. And for a limited time, get 4 free tickets to Fenway with your purchase. Visit Nesson360.com to sign up and play today. All right, now going to toss it over to my guy, Taylor Kyle, stopping by the show, talking Stefon Diggs, Travis Hunter, Will Campbell, Armand Membu, and arm length as well. Here's my guy, T. Kyles. Let's talk Stefon Diggs. Signed 3 years, $69 million, $26 million guaranteed. That's the important number. Will be 32, coming off the torn ACL. But overall, what do you make of that signing, what it means for the Patriots, and what it does for the Patriots?
I think it's a big move. It fills a glaring need. Now, obviously, you're not really expecting that Stefon Diggs is going to be the guy that necessarily takes Drake May to the next stratosphere, but it gives him that reliable, experienced, proven veteran that he didn't have last season. Now, you have him, Mac Hollins, Kendrick Bourne. It's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. But now you've got some guys, especially in Hollins and Diggs, that are intense, that are very competitive, and that know how to have success in this league, practice habits, and all those things. Not only is that going to benefit Drake May, also guys who played with Josh Allen, they're going to be able to make him look good off script, uncover whenever things break down, but also for that young wide receiver room. You've got Pop Douglas, you've got Javon Baker, who hopefully breaks out, but also Jalen Pope, a second-round pick. Now, Pop, he's probably been your best receiver the past couple of years, but there's so much meat left on the bone for those guys. Now in Diggs, who I think can complement their skill sets pretty well and teach them maybe some techniques that'll help their game, they have someone to help bring out those tools. Again, something they didn't have in Kendrick Bourne, who is a veteran and, he's been in the league for a while, but he's never been Stefon Diggs. So gives Drake May a reliable target, again, that he hasn't had. And I think it's just great mentorship for the entire offense and someone who's already familiar with this system because he worked under Brian Daboll, who was the OC in Buffalo for a couple years. Those two overlapped.
Yeah, I love that overlap. I love you bring up, too, like how just technical, it's fundamental for Stefon Diggs. Never had to overly rely on his athleticism, just a phenomenal route runner. Now that's sticking your foot in the ground, changing direction on a dime. We'll see that coming off the torn ACL. But what is the Stefon Diggs that the Patriots are getting now. His game has evolved. He's not that explosive guy that could be a deep ball receiver like he was in Buffalo and Minnesota. What is he now in your eyes, especially thinking of him in a Josh McDaniels system?
Yeah, so he's in a similar vein to Cooper Kupp and Chris Godwin, other guys we were considering for this veteran receiver role, where really they never relied on speed. And there's a certain level of explosiveness and quickness you do need that they've all lost due to injury and age, what have you. But at least with Stefon Diggs, this is a guy who did have that outside versatility, still has a bit of it, but really want to keep him inside the numbers, rather, at this point in his career, deters press coverage, gives him two-way releases, so that crafty route running, which is where a lot of his success has come from, really starts to fall into play. Also, the great ball skills, understanding how to find spaces and exploit zone coverage, make defenders uncomfortable. He caught a touchdown against Christian Gonzalez, one of the first touchdowns I think that Gonzalez has given up in his entire career, because he was able to get on his toes really quickly, throw a fake, and get Gonzalez off of his spot. So no, you're not getting the guy that's necessarily going to take the top off on go balls or win on a whole lot of post routes, but he is going to be able to make man coverage defenders uncomfortable, find those soft spots against zone, especially over the middle. That's where a lot of his success came in Houston, where it's, deep stop routes right between the hashes, or it's these corner routes, different ways you just kind of sit in those soft pockets. That's where I think you're going to find him having a lot of his success. And again, against zone coverages, that's one place that Drake didn't have reliable wide receivers. Most of that fell on his tight ends and sometimes running backs. So that's going to be an area of the field that he can complement Drake May. Hopefully you also get a vertical threat that can take the top off.
Yeah, I love you mentioned middle of the field. That's Drake May's favorite place to throw the football. For Drake May, exactly, and precisely with him, what does this do for that second-year QB for the Pats?
I think it just gives him a binky. You saw it. He had that in Hunter Henry. He had it to a degree in Austin Hooper. Those veterans who, again, they know how to exploit zone coverage. They know how to just get open. That's half the job, right? It's get open and catch the football. Now, Stefon Diggs, phenomenal hands, only dropped 2 passes last year, despite the fact I think he only trailed Chris Godwin when it came to receiving conversions up through week 8 when he had the injury. Again, not going to be the same guy, but now Drake has a receiver who's worked with young quarterbacks, knows how to get on the same page with those guys. I think it's just some comfort for that young quarterback, because with the guys that we saw last season, they did their best given the situation, I'm sure, but it just clearly was not up to par.
Yeah, if you look at Stefon Diggs' resume, it did jump out to me. Like, think back, it was Case Keenum in Minnesota. It was Kirk Cousins after getting paid and being the guy, so into a new role. Then it was Josh Allen, as you alluded to. CJ Stroud, year 2. It's now Drake May, year 2. For all the red flags we see, like visually see on the sidelines, that would take 4 or 5 years at the previous teams. But this is a veteran that has no problem working with younger QBs. I feel like that'll help so much in his continued development. And like you said, too, Jalen Polk, Javon Baker, not giving up on him yet. They struggled to even be active on game days. They didn't even know where to line up. This is a guy that doesn't just know where to line up. He knows how to get open. I feel like that'll unlock so much of the offense, too.
And the competitiveness. You mentioned Drake May. Like, this is a guy who wants to be great. We've heard it. The coaches raved about him last year, where T.C. McCartney's saying he may be the smartest guy in the building. That's the kind of quarterback that I think Stefon Diggs loves. Now, with Josh Allen, obviously, was so integral. One, because he was a great player. At the end of the day, as long as you're productive, that's going to help a young quarterback. But also the experience that he brought, having worked with Kirk Cousins, who's also a very cerebral quarterback. And I think that for all the flack that Stefon Diggs gets, where, yeah, he wants to be a featured player, but he also wants to win. He's going to celebrate his teammates. It's why he's been a captain 4 times. He was a captain in his only season in Houston and was also a multi-time captain for the Bills. And he's coming to a Patriots team where there's not a whole lot of mouths to feed, so he's going to be a featured player. Now I think it's just going to come to him and Drake May getting on that same page. But considering the fire both these guys bring, I think they're going to connect very quickly. And we saw those videos of Josh Allen and Stefon Diggs where they're like best buddies. I'm telling you, I could see that coming with Drake May, because I think that they're going to be very like-minded as competitors.
Yeah, Drake May, I know he was saying in an interview, too, they were asking who followed who first on Instagram. He's like, I probably followed him way back in the day. I grew up watching him. That's a guy I played Madden with, a guy I looked up to. Drake May, here's a competitor as he is. He's a real deal with everything. Stefon Diggs walking into that room just widens his eyes. He knows the possibilities. Before we get to draft talk, what they've done through free agency, they've addressed so many needs. Even the addition of Mac Hollins, which you alluded to. Yeah, he's a wide receiver 4, but he helps where they needed help. What do you want to see done before the draft at the end of April of, hey, this is another position the Patriots should address, or another position group if it's not an exact position as well?
I think just a veteran at left tackle. It doesn't have to be Stefon Diggs necessarily, which, again, we're at the point in free agency where that's pretty lofty, even at this point in his career. But Tyron Smith, just like Diggs, is not the player he used to be. He did take a huge step back last season with the Jets, but he's better than anything you've got on the roster, brings that experience, brings a certain level of reliability when he's on the field. So if you sign somebody like him, Jedrick Wills, much less consistent, but someone that Vrabel worked with last season in Cleveland, hands-on, and maybe if he thinks that's someone that he's comfortable with, they can bring into the fold, just so you're not desperate. I still think that tackle is the way to go if you don't have an option at Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, or a trade down. But I'd also just like them to say, hey, if something crazy happens and we can get Travis Hunter, now if we want to draft an Ariante Ursary, but we don't want to throw him out there, you at least have options for the short term.
All right, I like the names you're bringing up. All right, that got the wheels turning. Let's talk NFL draft. If Travis Hunter falls to the Patriots at 4, does Stefon Diggs change that they would draft Travis Hunter?
I don't think Stefon Diggs really affects their plans. Again, I think he's just a safety blanket, and he gives them one more guy that they could say, if we went into battle tomorrow, you're probably looking at Kendrick Bourne, Demario Douglas, and Stefon Diggs as your starters. But I still think they need another young impact player. And this is a new regime, so we don't know how exactly they feel about Jalen Polk and Javon Baker, although I'm sure they'll still get opportunities. So I think that Travis Hunter should be a lock if he's there for the Patriots, because he is a truly special talent that could make Drake May better. He makes Christian Gonzalez better on defense. Really rare prospect too. As a cornerback, that's where I think he should be long-term. Short-term, I think he could be a receiver because the Patriots don't have a lot of talent there. But I also think that if you play him on the other side of the ball, you have a potentially generational Hall of Fame tandem with Christian Gonzalez, who can match up with anybody, and Travis Hunter, who whenever the ball is coming his way, he's a bigger threat to catch it than the guy he's covering, which is not something you can say about many defensive backs in history, especially guys with the coverage ability that Travis Hunter has, and being someone who's such a good teammate, knows how to take care of himself, checks every box that you want from a character perspective. So if Travis Hunter's there, unless someone's like, I'm throwing 2 first-round picks and a second rounder or something real sweet, that kind of deal your way, I don't think you even blink. It's Travis Hunter, especially a dual threat. Mike Vrabel, game recognized game.
I don't know if those 2 firsts and a second would get me to pass up on Travis Hunter either. The need at wide receiver. So before I get to your vision, because I love that you brought up, I see him cornerback long-term, and it makes sense. If he gets drafted by the Pats, I think the bigger need for them with him, and because of Carlton Davis, is wide receiver. How would he now slot into this offense? Is he the guy downfield, takes the top off of defense, while Stefon Diggs is more underneath, intermediate, short route type of receiver?
Travis Hunter has the most juiced of almost everybody on your team, if not everyone on your team. So, yeah, I do think that while I think he's better at the Z, like Josh McDaniels' offense, unless you are a Devontae Adams where you can just feast on one-on-one matchups, I think that the Z is where you want to be because you're off the line of scrimmage. You get to get moved around in motion. That gives you advantages, easier releases, and that's where I think Diggs will thrive. But that's where I think Travis Hunter's an absolute cheat code. I also think that Travis Hunter right now needs to put on some weight because you saw in college, if he's running just a go route and he's outside the numbers, he gets bullied to the sideline sometimes, would get pushed out of bounds all the way. So I think you want to keep him out of those situations. But right now, this is an offense that's built to be very condensed. So not a lot of guys outside the numbers, period. You're going to have to do it at some point. And I'm sure you got Mac Hollins, Kendrick Bourne can do some of that, Kayshon Boutte, even Jalen Polk. You've got guys that can moonlight on the outside, but the prime position in this offense, I think, will be Z. I think we'll see Diggs, and if Travis Hunter joins, I think he'll be used there. But Hunter would definitely get the majority of those ISO situations.
I love that vision for him on offense. All right, so your vision, though, you said it to him. You think he could be a long-term Pro Bowl caliber, all-pro, maybe Hall of Fame cornerback. Maybe I'm putting words in your mouth. I don't know. But, hey,
I don't throw that around often, but I think that's fair because he's special.
So what's your vision with him then? You draft him. It's your team. It's year 1, and it is with the Patriots. This will be year 1, and then year 5, year 10. What's your vision with Travis Hunter overall in the NFL?
I'd like to see him stick to one side of the ball on at least 70% of snaps, right? Because he's still young, needs to adjust to the NFL game. And especially on offense, yes, you are dictating, but at least on defense, you can say, hey, you're playing man coverage on third downs, right? There's no mystery. It's man, everybody knows what we do. You just got to lock the guy down. Travis says, okay, I'm going to stare at his hips, go where he goes, be an athlete. Once he declares the route, I got eyes on the ball. He'll take his lumps, but I just think that's a little more simple than on offense where, again, You are dictating the terms, but you need chemistry with Drake May. Also, Travis Hunter wasn't really active in wide receiver meetings. Like, he was getting hand signals from Shedeur Sanders on the field to know what route to run. He has a long way to go in terms of being a wide receiver. On both sides of the ball, he's got a long way to go. But I think early on, again, the Patriots have the most glaring need at wide receiver because you've got Gonzo, because you've got Carlton Davis. Mm-hmm. So I'd like him to get that rapport with Drake May early on, maybe be featured in a J.C. Jackson kind of role where, like, early on when they were stacked at corner with Jason McCourty, obviously Stephon Gilmore, it was more obvious passing situations. They'd kind of mix him in so he didn't have to play the run. That's what I'd like to see Travis Hunter do early on. After a year, 2 years, once the young guys hopefully step up, the wide receiver room looks a little more talented, a little more experienced. That's where I'd like you to say, okay, now, Travis, we're going to put more on your plate. You're going to be more of a package player on offense, but we want you to focus on defense, because imagine Keon White and Milton Williams are breathing down your neck, and you have to choose between throwing a Christian Gonzalez on one outside spot or Travis Hunter on the other. I don't like those odds, and that scares me a lot more than Travis Hunter at wide receiver, as much as that is also a scary thing to think about.
That sounds like a lot of sacks, a lot of turnovers, and that's what the Patriots defense certainly needs. All right, so taking a look again, number 4. I know one tackle. He's a tackle right now. You're big on Armand Membu. Why do you like the right tackle right now out of Missouri?
Because, one, we know that he's a tackle. Whether he's on the right side or the left side, yes, we'll figure that out at some point. And I think that's for teams to do their research and see if he'll be comfortable. Because everybody's different. Some guys, it's just like, it's like wiping with the other hand. Some guys, it's like, yeah, I can do it. It's really not that big of a deal. So it's going to be up to the teams to decide. But when I look at Membu, one, he was a more explosive athlete than Will Campbell, who obviously everyone's penciling into that number 4 spot. And he's 20 pounds heavier. Armand Membu's 330 pounds and a ridiculous athlete, on top of being a very refined pass protector. Now, he plays on a side where he doesn't face as many premier rushers. That needs to be taken into consideration. But in the 5-6 games that I watched, I didn't see any truly egregious losses. So I didn't see him shoot his hands, get knocked down, and then there's a clear path to the quarterback. I did see that with Will Campbell more than I wanted to. And while we could talk about the arm length thing, I know that's going to be a separate discussion that we're going to get into. But Armand Membu doesn't have a lot of physical attributes that worry you. He's a little short for the position, but he's wide, he's bulky, and he has adequate arms, like 33 and a half inches, which is more than okay. So when you put all that together, try him at left tackle. If he doesn't work out, okay, you have a right tackle to take over for Morgan Moses and someone who's more talented than a Caden Wallace, who also has guard flexibility at this stage of his career probably, unless he obviously finds some way to get on the field at one of the tackle spots this year. So I just think Armand Membu comes with a lot fewer concerns, and he still addresses a pretty significant position of need.
Yeah, and he'll be 21 his rookie season, like actually turning 21. Really raw. Watch him on film too. Really fluid mover. Like, there are guys that can glide and mirror edge rushers. That dude just like absolutely slides across the field to his right, to his left laterally. Like, just the fluid movement he has. You mentioned 6'4", 330, and with his, 34-inch vertical I have it here, 9 foot 7-inch broad, and then he just went up to the bench and just did 31 reps and was like, all right, guys, have a good day. I see it, and I get it. Yeah, right, there's a 6'4" talk, but at 330, there's, in a way, it sounds like he has less red flags. And a Will Campbell where, and I'll ask this too, you can, come back to me on what I'm saying with Membu, but also there's that like, but what is Will Campbell? And we don't know.
Yeah, so the thing with Will Campbell is that we talk about the arm length, but it's also wingspan, right? So arm length obviously is important because offensive line play is like boxing. Reach is important. If I can hit you before you can even get close enough to make contact with me, I'm going to win that battle more times than not. Now, there's one end of the spectrum where you can be Vidarian Lowe, where his arms are so long, they're actually a disadvantage, because if you're shooting two hands and they get knocked down and you're not even close to the guy, it's really hard to recover. You basically already lost the rep. But if you're a Will Campbell and your arms aren't as short, it just means that that's a little bit closer the other guy can get to you and try to make a move. Now, in college, that's fine. Like, you're in the SEC going up against some really talented players, but you're going to be seeing Myles Garrett, Aiden Hutchinson, the best of the best on planet Earth, where they check the mental box, so they're just as smart, if not smarter than you, more technically refined, and they're more athletic. If someone checks all the boxes, I'm sorry, brother, you're at a disadvantage, right? Because you don't really have an edge anymore. At least with Membu, you don't see those physical attributes where you're like, yeah, man, against the real freaks of nature, I'm sorry, you're just going to lose the battle before it's even won. there are things where you can make up for it, right? Will Campbell has great feet. He's got really patient and technique sound hands. I think he's going to be a very good tackle if he wants to stay there, but I think he's going to be a great guard. And even when you look at the way that these two guys lose, with M'Bu, he usually loses against speed to power, where guys get ahead of steam, they get into his chest, and because sometimes he lets guys initiate the contact, he ends up getting pushed back even though he's a bigger guy. Will Campbell's much better against power. That's something he worked on throughout his career, but because of the arms, he struggles to his corners. Because if he misses, the guy's already so close, they can kind of initiate their move, and he's also not quite explosive enough relative to a M'Bu to recover quickly. So if I'm an offensive tackle, you don't want to lose regardless, but Will Campbell will lose in a way where he has no shot at recovering, whereas M'Bu will get pushed back, but at least can somewhat stand his ground and give the quarterback room to operate. So I'm basically splitting hairs because these are both fantastic players and both guys have concerns. My personal preference, I would just like the guy who is 100% a tackle with Pro Bowl upside. I just don't see that Pro Bowl upside from Campbell on the outside, although I do see it if he were to kick into guard.
To watch a full interview with Taylor Kyles, check out Foxborough Rush, wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Prime. You could also watch on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Go to Nesson's YouTube page, hit the subscribe button, find it all right there. Everything Patriots, everything Drake May, number 4 overall pick, Mike Vrabel, Travis Hunter, and Stefon Diggs. That's Foxborough Rush, wherever you get your podcasts. All right, so you got through day 1 of 162.
Day 1.
What's the ritual, the superstition for day 2 of 162 of the Major League season?
I have to wear red.
Always day 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
I gotta wear red.
Interesting.
And then snack wise, I either have to commit to like having popcorn at some point,
Okay.
or peanuts.
All right. I respect it. I like it.
It's not too bad. I can fix that into the day.
I think that's very simple.
Yeah.
Mine's the easiest.
I was gonna say, what's yours?
Wake up. Wake up and that alarm
You really
goes
do
off.
keep it simple.
I keep that's my superstition.
I think that's why you're probably the most sane one in the bunch.
Wake up, have my coffee, have my slice of sourdough toast with butter. That's it. And
Wow.
then my day starts.
If my morning ever starts that chill,
Wholesome.
I will definitely report
I
to
need
you
my
immediately.
morning. Yeah, I need
feel
my-
like this has been the chillest start to my day. But I never thought I was a superstitious person, but I did recall that like eventually there were certain things that I was doing repetitively and like not calling it superstitious or religious.
I got some superstitious things. You'll pick them up eventually. You just got here.
Okay.
You'll notice. I do it at the office. I got superstition. She's Kasey Hudson. I'm George Balekji. This is Boston has entered the chat. Appreciate you guys making us a part of your day. Make sure to catch new episodes dropping every Monday through Friday wherever you get your podcast. We'll see you guys next time. Later.